Welcome back to another episode of Creepy and Haunted Places. In this episode, we take a look at 5 locations, some of them known, some of them not known unless you're a local, and some of them you couldn't pay me to spend the night in, not even for $1 million. Now this location was featured on one of my all-time favorite TV shows, Scariest Places on Earth. Its history and hauntings have been the subject of my fascination since the show first aired on October 23, 2000. This place has seen gruesome happening after gruesome happening, and its paranormal activity only adds to its legends. Situated in the northern part of Northumberland, Chillingham Castle was the seat of the Grey and Bennet families from the 15th century until the 1980s. It was originally a monastery in the 12th century. King Edward I was a guest on his journey to the Battle of the Scottish Army, led by William Wallace. It was a strategic place during those times. It was on the border between 2 feuding nations, and was used as a staging post for the English armies entering Scotland, but it was besieged by Scottish armies heading south. King Edward III allowed battlements to be built in 1344, upgrading it to a fortified castle. In 1617, the castle gained a filled moat, and the battlements were converted to residential wings, also gaining a library and a banquet hall. During World War II, the castle served as barracks for army soldiers, and then falling into disrepair when the war ended. It was purchased in 1982 and underwent restoration. The castle has been the subject of many investigations, most famously Scariest Places on Earth, Ghost Hunters International, and a radio show that was hosted by someone who appeared in several episodes of Scariest Places on Earth, Alan Robson. The most famous spirit is said to be the Blue Boy, whose cries were heard inside a 10-foot thick wall in the Pink Room. In 1920, the bones of a young boy with fragments of blue clothing were found inside that very wall. Another spirit is that of Lady Mary Berkeley, who is said to be searching for her husband. The rustle of her dress can be heard as she passes in the southwest stairs, and was even said to live inside of a painting. Located in the town of Rostria, the castle was built in the 15th century by the O'Bannon clan, who were the secondary chieftains in the territory. It is recorded that the Earl of Kildare, Gerald Fitzgerald, attempted to seize the castle in 1513, but did not succeed. Only on his second attempt did he do any damage. The castle was later regained by the ruling O'Carroll clan. After the death of Mulrooney O'Carroll in 1532, troubles began to surface for the clan. Rivalry over leadership led to the death of one brother, who was a priest, at the hands of his rival brother, leading to the chapel being called the Bloody Chapel. In 1659, the castle passed into the ownership of the Darby family. Seances by family members were held inside the castle, leading to later publicity of the castle ghosts. In 1974, the castle was bought by an Australian historian who worked in conjunction with a builder who restored the castle until his death in 1989. The final owner is now a musician who purchased the castle in 1991 and has been continuing the restoration. The castle has been featured on Scariest Places on Earth, as well as Ghost Adventures, who filmed their 10th season Halloween special at the castle. Scariest Places on Earth reported that a child spirit had died within the castle when she fell down a set of stairs, but no evidence, either on the website or travel sites, has offered proof of this claim. Okay, let me just say this. This next location is one that I have always wanted to visit, but not the museum portion, the real catacombs, the ones only accessible if you know where to look. But at the same time, the atmosphere, the structures, the length, the depth, the darkness, and the sheer enclosed spaces have kept me from living it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy a scare as much as the next person, but I don't relish the thought of being lost to the darkness, or have stones collapse that could block my only way out. The catacombs have earned their spot as number 3 on this list because they are the epitome of creepy. Located in Paris, France, the underground tunnels were established in 1810 as part of a mining network. The left bank rested on rich limestone deposits, and the excavating stones went into buildings in most of the city. Because of the dangerous mining techniques, many of the mines were uncharted, and when depleted, they were abandoned and forgotten. When the mines began to collapse in 1777, sometimes taking houses with them that had been built over the uncharted areas, it led to King Louis XVI to create an inspection of mine service to investigate the underground. In the world above, people were dying at an alarming rate. Disease, famine, and wars were quickly filling cemeteries to capacity. As spaces became limited, the longer deceased were exhumed, and their bones were packed into roofs and walls of the tomb galleries that were built to the inside of the cemetery walls. But that lasted until May 30th, 1780, when a basement wall on a property near the overcrowded cemetery gave way under the weight of a massive grave behind it. The cemetery was then closed to the public. The mine-study closure and the overcrowding cemeteries were two issues that were quickly mounting. A Parisian police lieutenant came out in support of the idea of moving the deceased into the underground passageways that were undergoing reinforcements to keep the streets from caving in. The idea became law in 1785. Within a walled-off property, a well was dug to receive the remains, and a museum was set up for the headstones. Starting on April 7th, 1785, it would take 2 years to empty the majority of the local cemeteries. Head of the Parisian Mine Inspection Service, Louis-Étienne Héricard de Thury, undertook renovations that would transform the underground caverns into a mausoleum that people would be able to visit. As well as directing the skulls and femurs into patterns that one can see today, he used decorations from the cemetery to complement the wall of bones. He added tablets and archways bearing inscriptions that were warnings about the nature of the ossuary and for the safety of the visitors. Though people can go and visit the Catacombs portion for $88.33 for adults and $82.74 for kids 14 and up, there are many people who choose to see the other side of the catacombs. These people are known as cataphiles. Usually done on weekends, these people find entrances that have either gone unnoticed or been poorly blocked off and explore the depths below. These portions are known to go as far as 380 feet below the street level. Though there have never been any known haunts, a camcorder was found showing one man's solo journey into the catacombs. Several times he stops to record rooms off the passageways, and even the piles of bones from the long since dead. At one point, he finds himself facing a painting on the wall, depicting what looks like a skeleton with outstretched arms. He then starts to run, almost as if in a blind panic at not being able to find his way out. The camcorder suddenly falls, and shows the man take off down the passageway, fading into the darkness. The owner was never found, alive or dead. Located at the southern edge of Old Town, Greyfriars was founded in 1561 and takes its name from the Franciscan friary that was located on the site. During the early days of photography, the Kirkyard was used by David Octavius Hill and Robert Adamson as a setting for portraits and tableau, most notably the artist and the gravedigger. The graveyard is also associated with Greyfriars Bobby, a dog who guarded his master's grave, and whose headstone was erected at the graveyard's entrance by the Dog Aid Society in 1981, marking his final resting place. And a statue was erected just opposite the graveyard. Enclosed vaults are found on the southern edge of the graveyard, and 2 graves feature low ironwork cages called mort safes. They were used as a grave robbing deterrent against the early 19th century resurrection men, who would steal corpses and give them to the Edinburgh medical colleges for dissection. Many paranormal phenomenon has been said to occur inside the walls, most notably from the Mackenzie poltergeist George Mackenzie, whose spirit is said to be one of the most aggressive. Legend tells that his spirit was released in 1999 when a homeless man walked into the graveyard looking for a safe place to sleep. he broke into George's final resting place, falling through the floor and into the grave underneath, releasing the spirit within. Patrons have emerged from inside a portion of the cemetery known as the Covenanters' Prison, with bruises, scratches, and even broken bones, attributing these injuries to the spirits of the long-dead prisoners and their violent oppressor. The location was featured on Scariest Places on Earth, and showed a night tour that ended when a young woman was taken outside the gates because she felt physically ill from having been within. The graveyard also holds a 197-year-old grave with the name Thomas Riddle that many Harry Potter fans think may have inspired the birth name of Lord Voldemort, who make pilgrimages to the site to leave notes and flowers. I chose this location for number 1, not simply because it was also featured on Scariest Places on Earth, but the location should be in Webster's under the definitions for the words creepy and haunted. The location itself is enough to think of it as creepy, but it's the history, as well as what lies beneath, that has me never wanting to go there alone. A former Cistercian foundation near Trino, the Abbey played an important role in the development of rice production in the region. It was founded in 1124 by Rainier I of Montferrat. The tract of marsh and woodland helped with its agricultural development. In 1204, after the sacking of Constantinople, Marquess Boniface, grandson of the founder, expected to be appointed as the first emperor of the new Latin Empire. The crown instead went to Baldwin, Count of Flanders. Boniface was later installed as king of the Crusaders' state of the Kingdom of Thessalonica after he and his crusaders conquered it, but it was under the authority of Constantinople. An abbot by the name of Peter, who had voted for Boniface to become emperor, took his place as abbot of Lucedio in 1205. It then became home to 50 monks. It is rumored that numerous people underwent assault and torture at the hands of the monks. It came under the scrutiny of Pope Calixtus III in 1457 when locals found 2 young men roaming the village one night. The boys were naked, bloodied, and battered. They said they had been sexually abused and claimed there were black magic rituals taking place at the abbey. The Pope sent a team of investigators, but the monks refused to let them in for 3 days. They were eventually tried and beheaded for their crimes. An infamous tale states that in 1684, young girls in surrounding villages became corrupted by the devil and set out to seduce the monks. The abbey reportedly has a chamber called the Judgment Room, where monks would put people on trial for various crimes, and the prisoners were sodomized and tortured. It is said there is a pillar in the room that runs wet, no matter the temperature, as if it's crying for the atrocities that happened in the abbey. These rumors circulated for 100 years before it was closed down on September 10, 1784. It is also rumored that the bodies of the monks were found in the underground, lying open for all to see. That's all the time we have left for this episode of Creepy and Haunted Places. Check back soon for the next installment. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. And the next time you get the urge to set foot in a creepy or haunted place, don't forget to bring a candle.